Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to do a simple line trace. We've got the first person project up here from Unreal Engine 5.1.1, but this will apply to 5.2, 5.2.2, and quite a few going into the future. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the first person character blueprint, and we're going to set off a tick. We're going to use the tick node just for the demonstration. From there, we're going to go and we're going to do a line trace. I'm going to get the line trace node by channel. So now that we've got that there, what we're going to do is we need to give it a few things, mainly start and end. Straight away, we're going to enable trace complex, which will use the collision part of the object rather than just a box. Draw type, one frame only, and yeah. So we need to give it a start, and what we do is we go off the first person camera. So get first person camera. Now off here we need to get the start and the end. So to get the start, we just need to know where it is. Get world location. Nice and easy. And we just plug that straight into the start. Then what we need to do is we need to get the end. Now to do this, we need to know which way we're pointing, and we need to project forward from there. So what we can do is we can get the forward vector. We get straight out. There are a lot of examples that show it with get world rotation, and then from there they do get forward vector. Oh, if I spell get right. It does the exact same thing. But yeah, generally you can just hit get forward vector. Now from here, we want to do a multiply. Now you convert this pin, so right click on it, convert pin, float. So you do say 3000. Gives you a good bit of range. And then what we can do from up here is we want the add, so plus. And then we take the output of that, put it into the input of that. So we're adding the result from here to the world location vectors. And then from there we just plug it into end. And that's it. That is the simplest you're going to get for this. There's nothing else to it. And then we've got the end here, which we'll go through in a second. There's your shape. There it is. Now, there's a few outputs here that you will use. I'm not going to go through all of them. I might do that in another video. There is one here called return node, so return value. This will be true if it hits an object. And more to the point, if all this is a valid result. We hit on that one rather than print to screen. And we're just going to print it to the screen. So we're hitting an object, we're hitting an object, we're not hitting an object. You can see it says false in the top left. Back to hitting objects again, and the line trace is hitting a actual object. Now, where this gets a bit fun, do you remember the distance variable that we put in? See where the dot is? Now, that's 3,000 units away from, or centimeters away, so 3 meters in the world, away from wherever the start of the camera is. At least it should be. So if we keep going, we move up, keep moving up further. Now at this point, we're not actually hitting the sky, but we're also not hitting an object. This is where the line trace has actually ended before it's hit the wall, before it's hit that far wall. Now you can change that. We'll double the range. And we're back to actually hitting everything again. We can also go the other way and make it 300. So you go past 300, and I think that's true. So we should, yeah. Each of these squares is about 100 units. Actually, here's a good one to show. See, at 300 away, it starts to, it turns off. So you can do a nice little, you don't have to shoot as far. Okay. Now, there are some values in here which are somewhat useful. So I'm not going to go through all of them, but I'll show you some of them. Out hit location and out hit impact point. Out of those two, you're actually better off using this for most applications. This one really only sort of affects the other shapes of line traces, but so we can print the impact point, which is 0 because we're not actually hitting anything. Get nice and close, and we are hitting something. So that spits out the location of wherever it hits relative to the world. Another one. Okay, out hit normal, out hit impact normal. Out hit impact normal is quite a useful one because you can use it to show which side of an object you're hitting. So for example, at the moment we're not hitting anything, so everything's 0. But say you want to hit one side of the object, you want to detect which part of the object you're hitting, so which side relative to the world. So this is the positive side of the x-axis, because it says 1, sorry, -1. Is that a negative? Yeah, it's a negative. So this is the negative side, so it's the back. That's the positive side on the x-axis. The negative side of the y-axis of the object, so the left, for example. This is the right side of the object, and of course, z-axis says 1 for the top, and of course, it'll say -0 from underneath. Can't really show you that because there's nothing to look at from underneath. Now we've got out hit actor. This gives you an object reference, which you can't really do a lot with. That's not when you're displaying it anyway, but if you wanted to reference an object in an array, you wanted to find it, you could. This is that number you give, it's a unique, well, that's a unique name. It's the same with this. It changes depending on which object you're hitting. You can go to ramp. Got this one, quarter cylinder, cube, all that. So that's pretty good there. out hit component, bone name, and that's really only, those are sort of useful for the skeletal meshes. These are useful for the actual meshes themselves, but you never really use them. The out hit trace start is the location in the world where it starts, where the actual trace starts, and out hit trace end is obviously where it ends. And return value, if there's a hit, it's true. If there's not, it's false. It's very brutal and simple in that way. So realistically, most of the time, you're going to do something like this when you're actually using it. Just do that, and then you never, especially if you're using like references like this to then go and find something in an object, it just saves a bit of processing time and potentially saves generating an error. So yeah, that is line trace by channel.